What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the best corner of the worst community in all of the internet, that being the MMA community. And funny enough, that's what we're talking about today. Somebody in one of my lives asked me, why is your intro so negative about the MMA community? And I had exactly 5 responses. So in true YouTuber fashion, I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons why the MMA community needs to do better. Before we start, let me make this clear. Mixed martial arts is one of my favorite things in this life, okay? Not my favorite thing, but one of my favorite things. And I love almost all the fighters. I love almost all of the commentators and content creators and everything else. There's just some things that are very, very rampant in this community, and the first of which is gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is when you disallow somebody into your community because of something, usually something frivolous. And sometimes we have people who will say, if you don't actually fight, you have no opinion on the matter, which largely is kind of just an excuse for them to say that they fight. Realistically, it's just they want to mention the fact that they fight, when in actuality, fighters that I've talked to don't really say that. So probably what those people are is just somebody that took like a cardio kickboxing class or something. But the big problem with gatekeeping the community is the term casual. We've all heard it. I've heard it said to people who are literally in the UFC. And when somebody calls you a casual, what they're saying is you don't know what you're talking about because you don't watch enough mixed martial arts. Obviously, this is toxic, right? We want more people in the community, not less. And if people are just starting out, we don't want to alienate them. And I don't know that many people that have been watching since UFC 1, so at some point we were all a casual. But more than that, not only will people call you a casual because, for example, you don't know who Benson Henderson is, but they will call you a casual if you just have a bad take. Like, if you just think that, Colby Covington would beat Israel Adesanya or something like that, just something that's like a little bit of a hot take, people will say that you're a casual for having that hot take. But a lot of times the fight hasn't even occurred yet. So even if being a casual means that you have bad takes, we haven't seen the fight actually play out. Now, I ate... Can I cuss on YouTube? I guess I can. I ate shit with the Duplessis versus Robert Whittaker prediction, okay? But it's not because I'm a casual, And there were some people who called people casuals for saying that Duplessis was going to win. So I guess they're not a casual. And furthermore, saying that somebody is a casual, meaning they don't take the sport seriously and they don't devote enough of their life to the sport, is a weird flex. In other communities that involve sports, we see people a little bit kind of gatekeep, but not as much as a mixed martial arts community. And I think the reason is because if you know a lot about basketball, you're just kind of like a basketball nerd. But if you know a lot about mixed martial arts, then you must be this big, tough guy, right? I can't help but think that that's actually the problem. And lastly, I want to point out that just because you take the sport seriously, it does not mean that you're going to have good takes. I mean, look at MMA Guru. He has nothing going on in his entire life except for mixed martial arts, and yet he's a bad take machine. CEO, can you cut in a bad take of his, please?
Bantamweight division, I believe the champion will be No Mercy. Piotr Yan. I reckon he beats Aljamain Sterling in a rematch. The guy is 28 years of age. What are these guys going to do? He's getting better. Aljamain. 48-47. He won the first on volume over damage. There you go. He plays the knee game like a pussy. You got to it benefits his style like a coward, you just sit on your knees the whole time, no one can do anything.
Speaking of MMA guru, number 4 on the list, the bigotry. Mixed martial arts is very special because it brings people together. It shows that no matter where you come from, what your beliefs are, who you are romantically interested in, whatever your gender identity is, whatever your religion is, you got those hands, okay? So you'd think that we would be the most open-minded people in the world until it comes out that Jeff Molina is bisexual. Not here, no. This corner is about love, as you can see. This is how I'm doing the rest of the segment. Now, if you would have asked me 1 week before it came out that Jeff Molina was bisexual, I would have said, why is it a big deal and why is he keeping it under wraps? And now I found out. He got completely raked over the coals on the entire internet, got made into a meme for something that he was quite literally born with and something that has nothing to do with his fights. And it doesn't just stop at homophobia. There are instances of transphobia as well. For example, we have Michael Chandler saying that not only are trans women and drag queens evil, but they're evil to the point where it is evil to have a commercial that features a woman with a mustache, a cis woman that happens to have a mustache. Now we're going to get into the misogyny, so clear your schedule. Non-stop, we hear, I don't care about women's fights, I don't watch women fight, women inherently suck at fighting, ring girls shouldn't be paid that much, instead of fighters should be paid more. Laura Sanko and Megan O'Leary constantly being simped after, although they're trying to simply do their jobs and do, in fact, dress in a way to prevent that occurring in the first place, even though it has been shown several times that Laura Sanko's knowledge of MMA rivals, if not exceeds, everybody else in the booth. Not only do the community practice the bigotry, they also excuse the bigotry when it's done by their favorite fighter. Like when Colby Covington, when talking to Kamaru Usman, said, I got a call from the president. What did you get? A smoke signal from the leader of your tribe. His tribe is Nigeria. Nigeria has the 32nd largest GDP in the world, larger than something like, I don't know, South Africa? Do you think he would say the same thing to Dricus du Plessis? I don't think so. Nigeria, funny enough, has a president that does the same thing as our president. Nigeria has almost as many active military personnel as Germany, and Nigeria has an air force. But no, by all means, smoke signals from your tribe. And for those of you who are going to tell me that Colby Covington is just playing a character, I do not care. This is not a thing that's appropriate to say ever, regardless of if you're playing a character or not. And by the way, by Colby's own admission, he's not playing a character. He just took his own personality and dialed it up to 11. Let me get ahead of this really quickly. If you're typing a comment about this segment, I do not care. I do not care. It will do nothing to me, and there's nothing you're going to say that I haven't already heard. Okay? And the reason why this corner is the best corner is because people like you don't like it. All right? So, moving on, back to the fun stuff. My number 3 reason is because everybody's gullible in this community, okay? Everybody's super gullible. If you just say something, people will believe it. The one that we always cite is Max Holloway saying he's the best boxer in the UFC, and I love Max Holloway a lot. But he has been outboxed by Volkanovski, and he's been out... Just because he said he's the best boxer in the UFC doesn't make him the best boxer in the UFC. Meanwhile, if you poll the fans, when you hear best boxer, you immediately think Max Holloway. Now, my personal opinion is that the best boxer in the UFC is probably Alex Pereira, or maybe Israel Adesanya. Maybe you could say Dustin Poirier or Volkanovski, and maybe Sean O'Malley. But Max Holloway, he's been outboxed by a couple of guys. How is he the best boxer? If Max Holloway had never said that, he wouldn't even be in these people's minds as to the conversation. Another good example of this is when Michael Chandler said he's the most entertaining lightweight.
I am the most entertaining lightweight on the planet!
Now listen, Michael Chandler is very entertaining. He is. But the months after he said that, there were an absurd amount of people saying that he is the most entertaining lightweight, even though that division has Charles Oliveira, it has Justin Gaethje, it has Bobby Green, it has Fiziev. Like, I'm not saying that he's not. I feel like it's like a 5-way tie. But the amount of people exclaiming that Michael Chandler is the most entertaining fighter in that division is disproportionate. Okay, it's because he just said that he was. What about when Dana White said that it was a terrible decision by Francis Ngannou to leave the UFC, even though now in one boxing match against Tyson Fury, he's going to make more money than he ever did in the UFC put together?
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
When Francis first signed with the PFL, nobody was saying that much of anything, just who's he going to fight? That's kind of weird. And then as soon as Dana White comes out and says it makes no sense, the public perception is that Francis fumbled the bag. Why? Because Dana said so. Like, Dana didn't have any information about the deal. I mean, Dana obviously knows more about the ins and outs of running an MMA company than you and I do. But he didn't know what Francis's plans were. He didn't know the likelihood of any of this stuff going down. And up until this fight with Tyson Fury, there was a lot of people trying to push the narrative that Francis fumbled the bag. Like, they were trying to contrive things, saying that, like, other companies said that Francis wasn't looking for anything realistic. He was looking for way too much money. All this kind of stuff. It's just propaganda at the end of the day. They were just saying stuff that's blatantly not true. What about when Jon Jones fans heard him say that he was exonerated of any wrongdoing by USADA, and they all rejoiced? Except for the fact that that's not what happened at all. What happened was USADA raised their threshold to a point at which Jon Jones would not immediately be disqualified for the picograms in his system. Rather, they would undergo an investigation to see if his consumption of the picograms was done intentionally. They would have shown up and tried to find out if Jon Jones took the banned substances knowingly or intentionally, or if he was due to some kind of other contact, if somebody slipped something into his drink, whatever. And the odds don't look great for Jon Jones with that regard, because he already had served a suspension due to banned substances in the past. He wouldn't have a lot of goodwill going into that. So no, Jon Jones was not exonerated. It's not going to switch from a no contest to a win. And we're not going to stop mentioning that he served 2 suspensions for separate instances of consuming banned substances. Number 2 on my list is the fact that most people in the community are not subscribed to this YouTube channel. Okay? I know it's messed up. Okay? Like, a lot of the community, I would venture to say most of the community, is not subscribed to this YouTube channel, and more, but not all, are following me on TikTok. And almost nobody is following me on Threads. And that's really messed up. And that's arguably the worst crime done by this community. If you look into the description, not only will you see the links to everything I've said, but you also see links to my editor, Hendrick's stuff. And he's great, and he's hysterical, and he is the future of the community. But more importantly, number 1, I'm just going to call it the hypocrisy. Specifically, I'm talking about the hypocrisy as it pertains to some fighters can get away with certain things, and other fighters cannot. If your favorite fighter, for example, drove drunk and ran into a pregnant woman in their car, this is a terrible thing, but I don't really care. That's you outside the ring. I don't care what goes on outside the ring. But these same people, the same people that make fun of Khabib for marrying his cousin, make fun of Israel Adesanya for painting his fingernails and liking anime. I was unaware that Khabib actually got married inside of the octagon during a fight. That's kind of crazy. That's why they're taking it into account, right? Because it occurred during the context of an MMA fight. That's kind of wild. You know what I think? I think that everybody takes into account what fighters do outside the ring. And the problem is that being cringe to a lot of these guys is worse than being an actual bad person, which I don't agree with. You've seen what I'm talking about. It's not okay if Merab has slow, grindy grapple fights, but it is okay if Colby does, because Colby's my favorite fighter, and I'm willing to overlook all of his flaws or things that he's done wrong. And I've been very vocal in critiquing my favorite fighters. Israel Adesanya, one of my favorite fighters. I talk about a lot of things wrong with him, okay? From my perspective. He was transphobic on Twitter. I don't like that at all. I think that wearing the shirt that says, "He is not your bank," is really cringe. The shirt isn't as cringe as the fact that he had to buy the shirt. Does that make sense? Like, his girlfriend is, like, suing him for money, and she's, from what I can tell, in the wrong. But, like, wearing the shirt that says, "He is not your bank," is kind of cringe. It's super cringe to imagine Izzy, like, going on Amazon and searching "He is not your bank" on a shirt and then, like, buying it and then opening the package. Like, that is hyper cringe. I don't like that Izzy celebrated in that way against Paulo Costa. Okay? I think that was way, way, way over the line and really bad. I don't like the celebration where he made fun of Pereira's kid. While funny to most people, I think was crossing a line. And first and foremost, I don't like that he came out to Headstrong, dude. Headstrong is the most 35-year-old song on the planet. Headstrong is literally the song version of a raised pickup truck with a bumper sticker on the back of Calvin or Hobbes peeing on it, or
Back up, I'll take you on. Headstrong to take on anyone. I know that you are.
I can recognize this in my favorite fighters. I can recognize that one of my favorite fighters, Alexander Volkanovski, looks like somebody dropped an anvil on Mark Strong. Okay? I can recognize that Dustin Poirier, being one of my favorite fighters, he struggles with ground game a lot. And so he is, unlikely to beat Islam, right? Aljamain Sterling is flawless, and I can't think of anything wrong about Aljamain Sterling. By the same token, okay, I can see good things in fighters that I don't like. For example, I don't like John Jones. I think he's a really bad guy. But you gotta admit that he's handsome, okay? He just is. He's very conventionally handsome, okay? Dricus du Plessis. I don't think he's all that good. I think that Izzy's going to destroy him. I don't like his comments about being the real African champion. But he's handsome as well. He's very handsome. Colby Covington, I don't like his fighting style. I don't like his persona. I don't like that everybody thinks that he's just about as good as Kamaru Usman. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Check out my TikTok, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because I'm not going to blow you up. If you hit the notification bell for, like, Watch Mojo or something like that, you're all the time on your phone, okay? I upload, like, every couple of weeks, so you can hit the notification bell. You can be right back here in the best corner of the worst community in all of the internet. I know that this sounds like a little bit stuck up and pretentious because I'm, like, critiquing the whole community, but I am guilty of some of this stuff myself, and I'm working to get better, and that's why I said this community needs to do better. Not this community sucks and there's nothing we can do. I just ask that people do their best to get better, as I'm striving to do. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.